Welcome to Average Gamer. We're going to be doing a quick interview here with FarSpace Studios. I have Marc McCann joining me via Skype.
Hello.
Hey. And the other person in FarSpace is Robert Blackburn, correct?
Yeah, that's right. He's on holiday at the minute, so...
Perfect. Okay, so we'll start off getting right into it. I know that between the two of you, you guys have had over 20 years of programming experience, so what inspired you to use that knowledge to develop games?
To be honest with you, we've both always been into games since being young, really, and the actual programming experience came from actually playing games to begin with, to be honest. Since being a young child, what inspired me to start programming in the first place was actually playing video games, and it's just one of those things, really. It's one of my favourite things to do in the world, really.
Definitely. That's the same with me, too.
Yeah.
So growing up, when you guys were both kids, like, what were your absolute favourite games?
Oh, for me, hands down, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Nice.
The first game I played, and it's probably the last game I ever play as well, to be honest. I intend to die on my deathbed playing Sonic the Hedgehog, and we walk down the funeral aisle with the Green Hill Zone theme tune.
Definitely. Yeah.
I've always been into point-and-click adventures, and I think Rob's the same as well, to be honest. Games like Monkey Island and Grim Fandango and things like that as well.
Those are some names I don't actually hear very often. That's one of my favorite games was Escape from Monkey Island 3.
Fantastic, yes, I agree. Yeah. And Curse of Monkey Island 2, that's a classic, that game.
Oh, God, yeah. So, what started FarSpace Studios?
Well, basically, I mean, it's a bit of a funny one, really. We got bored one day. We went for a coffee, and we were just deciding things to... I mean, just a bit of background about myself and Rob. We've known each other since being quite young, to be honest. We've always been, actively into programming and doing little projects together and things. And we've always just worked on, small projects that have never actually made it anywhere near completion.
Of course.
Well, we decided one day, we thought we'd make a game, and we're going to make sure we finish one this time. So we started working on Hyphen. It was actually known as Spinning Stick Game back then. It didn't even have a name. I mean, if you read through the source code, it's still called that for the most part. But
that's funny.
Yeah. And yeah, we thought if we've made this game, we knew it was quite good at the time without being too big-headed. And we figured it would be a good idea to set a company up and see where we go from there. To be honest with you. Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of things easier as well. Like, obviously, when we start selling the game, on some stores, you need to be a company to even, get on the store, to be honest. And it's easier to separate your finances from your personal finance and things like that, really.
True. Yeah. Which, shameless plug, but if the people listening haven't yet, make sure to check out FarSpaceStudios.com to pre-order the game now, because you can pre-order it as well as try the pre-release demo.
And you won't regret it. It's quite good, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So myself.
On your guys' website, when I was doing a little research, I found a line that I really liked, which seemed to me as kind of an unofficial motto for your studio.
Okay.
It said, being small isn't an excuse for making subpar software. It's just another obstacle to work around, and in a lot of ways beneficial.
That's true.
Yeah, so a motto that's quite evident while you're playing through Hyphen, because as the game feels very polished and well thought out.
Thank you.
Not a problem, yeah. I was just wondering, from the development perspective, what type of obstacles do you find you come across, as well as what type of benefits do you find from being such a small studio?
Obstacles. I mean, basically, Hyphen looks quite. We've done a lot of the drawings done with shaders. Bit of a small known fact: the game's actually fully 3D, and there's not a single texture involved in the creation of Hyphen because none of us can draw. We're both terrible at art, so a lot of basically Hyphen is a lot of 3D models which we've just rendered to be flat, and all the glow and everything's done with shaders. So one of the biggest obstacles really was artwork, and we've had to be quite creative to make Hyphen look like it does without any use of artwork, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually using your weakness as a strength. That's very well done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's paid off because I mean we've got some nice visual effects from it now that you wouldn't have been able to achieve with with bog standard 2D sprites. I mean, like I don't know if you've noticed when you're playing it, there's a glow trail on the stick.
Yes.
That's all. Yeah, I mean that things like that they'd have been a lot harder to implement using sprites, and things like the ripple effect in the background as well. Working with 3D made that a lot easier.
Yeah, I can totally understand that.
Yeah, another one. I mean, that's artwork to begin with, but obviously there's audio as well. Another shameless plug. I'll put it in this time. I mean, we worked with a guy called Andrew Lloyd. I met him on Twitter.
Yeah.
Fantastic guy. I mean, we were really struggling for the audio at first. We knew Hyphen looked okay and it played okay, but it didn't sound okay when we were, when we were in a bit earlier stages of development. And he's come along and done us a full album, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the strengths, because we're such a small company. You've got people willing to work with you without, expecting too much from you in return, really.
Definitely, yeah. I find that's actually one of the best things about kind of the indie scene currently. Is everybody's in it together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're quite active on Twitter, and we talk to a lot of other developers, and everyone's willing to help each other. It's brilliant, really.
Yeah.
Can't praise it enough, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Just a little more in depth with the soundtrack I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
It's an incredible soundtrack. I find it's really punchy and it's really thematic for like the electronic feel of the game.
Yeah.
So you said you met Andrew Lloyd is the DJ's name. You met him on Twitter.
Certainly did. We were actually calling the government, to be honest with you. It was an interesting way to meet each other. Discussing the financial woes of the UK at the time, we were. And it turned out that he was a musician too, so...
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's sometimes it pays off to have a good moan, doesn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And so you said that he developed that soundtrack for the game? Like it's not a collection of his own pieces?
No, he's developed a full soundtrack specifically for Hyphen, which, it's brilliant, to be honest with you. So it's all designed around his experiences with playing the game, and basically he's played through some of the levels that you guys haven't had to yet, so... Yeah, he's played through some of them, and I think he's drawn his inspiration from playing the game itself and the way that the obstacles are in the game. And we said at first we're quite heavily inspired by Tron, if you've not already noticed, with the glow and
yeah, a little bit.
I think there's quite a recurrent theme of quite heavy bass through the soundtrack, and that's definitely come from that, because he's been away and done some research listening to the fantastic soundtrack by Daft Punk for Tron.
Yeah.
A lot of the inspirations come from, Tron, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Jean-Michel Jarre. He's an electronic artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a good listen to a lot of that, and he's come up with the goods, really. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
It's...
Okay, so how long have you guys been producing Hyphen?
Oh, too long. It's just over a year. It's just crossed the year mark. But that isn't a year of solid development. We've both got full-time jobs outside of FarSpace as well, so and family life to attend to. I've had a baby in the middle of. Well, I personally haven't had one, but my girlfriend's had a baby in the interim as well. So there's been a few, long pauses in development, really. But in a way, it's been quite good, because when we've had a long pause, we've come back and we've improved the game massively every time. There's been fresh ideas to work with, and we initially wanted to get the game released this year, in about April time.
Oh wow!
And back then, the game had nowhere near as much polish as it has now. So I'm glad we've waited, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, just from what I've played of the pre-release demo, it has definitely paid off.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's just the long breaks in development. You have fresh ideas when you come back. It's quite good sometimes just to take a stand back and play the game a little bit, rather than getting stuck just developing it all the time and trying to improve something that might not be brilliant.
Definitely, yeah, that's an excellent habit to have, even if it's forced.
Yeah, true.
So what plans do you guys have for the future of Hyphen and then beyond Hyphen?
The future of Hyphen, I mean, I think a lot of it depends on how well it's received when it's released. We've drawn, as you can imagine, literally hundreds of levels for the game, and not all of them will make it into the final version. Mm-hmm. So there's a possibility there for downloadable content. Possibly a sequel, because we've got a few ideas that we're not going to get to implement now, really. It's too far into the development cycle. The major one, though, I mean, like if the community receives Hyphen quite well, I actually intend to make a level editor for it so the community can make their own levels. Oh, wow. Which I think that'd make Hyphen absolutely fantastic. Personally, it's to set challenges for your friends and things like that with levels you've designed, and it's a lot of work. Well. Making a level editor is going to be quite a lot of work, so I think that does depend on how well it's received, to be honest with you. It is something we've been given some serious thought to. We do currently have a level editor in-house, but I wouldn't release that to the public, honestly. Mm-hmm. It infuriates me. It's worse than playing the game, creating it, to be honest with you.
What kind of advice can you give to aspiring game developers looking to start their own games?
It's a difficult one, really. It's difficult to see where to be. I mean, it depends on how well skilled they are themselves. I'd definitely say walk before you can run. From what I've seen on quite a lot of social media sites, there's quite a lot of new developers wanting to create games before they can write Hello World, to be honest with you. And it's like I say, myself and Rob, we've been programming for quite a long time, and a lot of the things we have made have just been small demos. They don't really amount to very much, but it gives you that bit of background in the things you're working with. And it's like, for instance, the glowing Hyphen. It's all done with pixel shaders now. If I hadn't have been bored one day and decided to experiment with pixel shaders, that might have been a bit more difficult to just slot into Hyphen. I think the main one really is learn to walk before you run. Really, there's a lot of 3D game engines out there, and you haven't always got that luxury, to be honest with you, on every platform that you release for. Mm-hmm. It's definitely worth learning all the programming, and if you can't draw or make music, then involve the community, get speaking to people. There's Twitter, Facebook. There's a whole world of people out there raring to use the skills in a production game. It's worth getting in touch with people. Yeah,
definitely. And again, like, Twitter is an excellent resource, I find, for that.
Fantastic. Well, that's why I'm speaking to you now. So.
Yep. Exactly.
Classic example, yeah.
Yeah. So that's all my serious questions. I like to end on a non-serious question.
Go for it.
So, the UN decrees that we must funnel all research funds in the world to one project. Should it be teleportation, time travel, or personal jetpacks, and why?
Oh, it's got to be time travel, hasn't it? So only because I've been a massive fan of Star Trek since being a child, and I want to be alive in the days when they can travel to the stars and when warp drives a reality. They can invent a time travel for myself to go into that point in time, and I'd be a very happy man.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I was born about 300 years too early, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can get that feeling sometimes too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time to be alive now, I think, with everything's on the brink of becoming. It's like you look into, do you know about quantum computing and things like that?
Yeah, definitely.
We're on the verge of things like that, and I'm happy that the human race is developing to create things like that, but I'm not happy that I won't be around to see the pinnacle of it, really.
Yeah.
So definitely time travel, or cryogenetic freezing, that'll do as well.
Perfect. Well, that's all the time we have right now, so thanks again, Mark, for joining us here on Average Gamer.
No problem. Thank you very much for having us. Or for having myself. There's no words about it tonight, is there?
Of course. So make sure to share, subscribe, like, everything you want with this video, and we'll see you guys next time.